Hey everybody, this is Dave Dugdale, learning DSLRvideo.com. When I went to NAB a few weeks ago, I went to the Canon booth on the last day and I asked a whole bunch of questions that I'd saved up over the year. Questions that you couldn't ask, call up Canon and try to ask them. They wouldn't answer. But if you have somebody behind the booth that has lots of experience, perhaps he could answer some of these questions. So hopefully I can publish some of these in the future. The first question I had for him is, all right, I've got a Canon T3i, and I've got a new Canon 6D that I've got in for review. What is the difference in terms of weatherproofing, weather sealing? Because when I look at the manuals of these two, and I look at the page on handling precautions, it has the same boilerplate information, which is kind of frustrating because if you paid more money, a lot more money for a higher end camera like what I'm filming with, the Canon 5D Mark III, and you're thinking, all right, I'm gonna be able to leave that out in the rain during a time lapse, or if it's snowing or something like that, if I'm getting it wet, because I'm paying more money for it. But the way the manuals are written, it doesn't tell you anywhere in the manual which one is better. So I went to the counter at the Canon booth and I started asking some questions. And basically, he came up and first said, you can't submerge it in water. It's not waterproof. You can't just dunk it in a bucket of water and expect it to work. Although if you watch Kai's video on Digital Rev, definitely check that out. He definitely tortured a Canon 7D. Anyway, I digress. But he basically said, as you move up through the models, like the Rebel line, then you get to like the 6D, then the 5D, and the 1DX. As you move up, they get more and more weather resistant. So you talked about like the seals. For instance, if it's raining, all these little buttons, the display, the hot shoe, all this stuff has gaskets that are sealed a lot better. Obviously, you also have the lens to consider. This is an L series lens, and he said these are sealed better because the rain can definitely enter in through the zoom. This lens, on the other hand, is the plastic fantastic, whatever you want to call it, Nifty 50. It's made out of plastic. He said that the seal around the mount is not as good, although I got to think it's got to be about the same, personally. But where the focus ring is on the camera, obviously water could get in there. And he talked about the buttons on the Rebel line, definitely not weather sealed. So he basically gave the advice of, if you can't stand the rain yourself, it's an utter downpour and you want to get out of the rain, it's probably you want to get the camera out of the rain as well, in terms of like the 5D Mark III, what he was referring to. He wasn't really referring to the 6D, which I would think has probably the same weather sealing, but he said, as you move up in price, which is they don't talk about it in the manual, but as you move up in price, the weather sealing should get better. So you're outside doing a time lapse and it starts to rain about an hour into your time lapse and you want it to go for at least another hour, and it's a light drizzle and you got the 5D Mark III. I would say personally, don't worry about it, because I've had my 5D Mark III wet in more than a drizzle many times, and it's still working just fine. Even with the Tamron lens that I have, which is not has this nice red ring around it. But so that was one of the first questions I had for them. I had a lot of other questions maybe I'll make videos about as well. It's one of those things that they don't write in the manual, and they're probably, I don't know if there's some sort of water resistant certification level or anything like that they'd want to not get into with the manual. But I just thought I'd share it, and I'm working on the 6D review as well as the 6D course. So hopefully middle of May or before that, I'm hope to be done. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.